Could dark magic be at the center of a murder mystery nearly 80 years old? Was the victim perhaps the subject of a hazing prank gone terribly wrong? Most importantly, who did in fact put Bella in the Wych Elm? Stick around and you might just find out the answers to these questions on this episode of Unsolved Mysteries. Solved! Welcome back to the only mystery podcasts about which my mom has said, "That's nice, dear. I hope it works out."
Oh my gosh, that's such a mom thing to say.
It is another wonderful, mysterious Saturday, and that means we have another mystery that we're going to solve right here before your very eyes.
And it's not the mystery of the snowstorm that's been raining hell down upon all of us.
Well, all of us in the Midwest.
Yeah. Like, if my audio sounds different to you guys currently, it's because I've been holed up with my girlfriend for the last week.
I am, as always, your ever humble and bearded host and PhD in solving unsolved mysteries, Dr. Chad Kimmons. With me is my co-host, also PhD in solving unsolved mysteries, and self-proclaimed, quote, student of the human experience, whatever the that means, Dr. Cassandra Cherry. Cass, how are you now?
I'm doing great, and I am frankly insulted that you do not know more about the storied history of anthropology. Let me tell you, the human experience is truly a beautiful and majestic thing.
You just sound really pretentious right now. I was gonna say more, but
Oh, that's fine. I was just, in my head, I was caught between the images of one of my closest friends, who's an anthropologist, and she's fantastic, and then also this one character from Danganronpa who's a total asshole.
Oh, so we're talking about Danganronpa again, I see.
Hey, when I've got an interest, it just keeps popping back up until I completely forget about it in another couple months or so.
Well, this week we are talking about a woman who was found during World War II.
Whoa.
in a tree.
Just up there in a tree. She did not climb there herself, presumably.
We don't actually know her name. People just started calling her Lubella, or Bella for short.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to go ahead and dive right in. So the story of this case begins around dusk on April 18th, 1943. We open on 4 teenage boys who are cautiously wandering through Hagley Woods. It's a stretch of woodland that was situated on the grounds of the impressive Hagley Hall estate, which belonged to Lord Cobham. I keep saying, every time I say it the same, but it sounds different.
I know, right?
Cobham. Okay, this is weird. God, damn it.
I just keep hearing, like, Cophound, and I'm just like, oh yes, K9 units. Deadly dogs.
Anyway, this dude, this lord, was his property. And the 4 boys, who were Bob Hart, Tom Willits, Fred Payne, and Bob Farmer, were what?
Bob Farmer? That's his name.
Yeah, that's his name.
What how generic can you get? This sounds like a name that somebody just made up. Just like,
I don't know.
FBI shows up on like a ranch and is asking to know who you are and why you're there, and it's like, I'm Bob Farmer. Yeah, definitely, I'm supposed to be here. Definitely.
I'm Farmer Bob Farmer. That's my name.
Definitely not an alien that crash landed here and conveniently has like a disguise device. No, this is fine.
Where did you get aliens?
Farmers, Rothwell, FBI. Roswell.
Oh.
Area 51.
I was like, what the is
It was discovered by a farmer. Crop circles have aliens.
Should we just put this episode off and just do it next week? Because we're both in a weird state of mind, but not the good state of mind.
This is how I was, like, last week, though.
Anyway, so getting back to the story.
Getting back into it.
These 4 boys were trespassing, and they were looking for some kind of excitement to take their minds off of the nightly German Luftwaffe's bombing raids.
Yeah.
And they were just, like, this was just wreaking havoc in Birmingham, which is where they were from. Mm-hmm. But they had their dogs with them, and they were hoping to supplement some of their family's meat rations, because during World War II, they were rationing
everything.
Yeah. But they were hoping to supplement their family's meat rations with like a rabbit or maybe a squirrel or something.
They're going hunting.
Obviously poached because they are on Lord Cobham's land.
This seems to be a running theme in, like, British stories. Like, I have an ancestor we found out through, like, Ancestry.com, who was also a British lord, Lord Cherry, and he was an asshole. He cut down Queen Anne's tree, which was in the Commons, which he didn't have jurisdiction over, and yet he claimed he had jurisdiction over it. And everyone hated him so much they made a poem about it.
All right, then.
But yeah, this happens. English lords can be bastards.
So after a while, Farmer Bob Farmer, whatever, spotted a Wych Elm, which they're named for their appearance. They kind of look spooky.
Witchy.
But he decided to climb it, hoping to find a bird's nest.
Our goodest boy, Bob Farmer.
Maybe bring back a bird or some eggs or something. Anyway.
Yeah.
So he climbed up and peeked down into the hollow of the trunk, and he saw a glimmer of light that convinced him that he had hit the jackpot. He was sure that there were eggs in this tree. However, the object that was lodged in the middle of the tree was not a bird's nest. It was, in fact, a skull that he pulled out.
Dun dun dun.
At first, he thought the skull was like an animal skull.
Yeah, because, like, who would expect that a human skull would wind up randomly in the middle of a tree?
Right. But then he noticed clumps of what looked like human hair sticking to it.
Oh.
And there were crooked truths.
Tufts.
Teeth is the word that
teeth.
I was... Yeah.
Oh.
There were crooked teeth protruding from its mouth.
Okay. Brain presented a weird image of, like, teeth protruding from, like, the top of the skull in, like, a crown shape.
Maybe. It doesn't say... Well, it does say its mouth, actually.
Okay, that's fair. Less creepy than what I was imagining.
Right. Well, anyway, the boys ran off.
Okay.
And they said they were never going to tell anybody because they were afraid of getting in trouble.
Uh-huh.
However, the seriousness of what they had found weighed heavily on the conscience of Tom Willits. And shortly after he got home, he told his parents about what he and his friends had found in the woods, and the police were alerted.
Alright. Willits or won't it's? Seems like he did it.
You are just the queen of terrible jokes. You know that?
Thank you.
Anyway, the whole area was cordoned off, and inside the tree, they found a woman's skeleton. Apparently, she was missing a hand, and the rest of the bones were discovered scattered around the tree. And there was a cheap imitation gold ring and size 5.5 crepe-soled shoes.
Okay.
That were found a short distance away. There were scraps of poor quality clothing that were hanging off the bones, and a piece of taffeta fabric was stuffed inside the mouth of the skull, indicating that she had been suffocated.
Okay.
Or at the very least gagged.
Yeah.
The medical examiner, Professor James Webster, concluded that the woman was around 35 years old. She had irregular teeth in her upper jaw. She had light brown hair and was 5 feet tall.
Okay.
He also determined that the woman had given birth to one child in her lifetime and estimated that she had been dead for around 18 months. So about a year and a half she had been in this tree.
That's what we needed to know. That's what I needed to know for one of my theories. Okay.
There's no information yet. How do you already have a theory?
I was thinking it since you said German bombings and woman in a tree.
Oh my god. So apparently Professor Webster, like, what he found made him certain that the woman was murdered.
Uh-huh.
And he said, I cannot imagine a woman accidentally slipping in there. Neither do I think it reasonable for a woman to crawl into that place to commit suicide.
No.
Which is fair.
Yeah. Good assessment, Doc.
Like, I mean, because, like, the boy that found her had to climb up the tree to look down and see her.
Yeah, and then was only her skull, and the rest of her body parts were scattered.
Which begs the question, if she did accidentally fall in there, what the fuck is a 35-year-old woman doing climbing trees out in the middle of nowhere?
Yeah, really. I mean, is maybe reliving her youth as a poacher? I don't know.
He concluded that she had been placed inside the hollow of the trunk before rigor mortis set in, because otherwise the body would have been too stiff to fit inside the tree trunk.
Okay.
Because it was very narrow, apparently.
Okay.
And he maintained that the woman would most likely have been killed close to the spot where she was found, because otherwise the killer would not have been able to transport her body to the tree before rigor mortis set in.
Okay.
So, following this discovery, Worcestershire.
Worcestershire. This is why we don't speak English.
Worcestershire. I know how to say the word, but now, we've been, we keep f***ing it up on purpose, and so now I can't say it properly. Worcestershire. Police contacted every dentist in the area, hoping that one of them would be able to recognize, because she had very distinct teeth, apparently.
Yeah.
Apparently, they also trawled through piles of missing persons reports to see if any of them matched, and neither of these turned up any leads.
Aw.
So they turned to personal effects found at the scene.
Okay.
The crepe-soled shoes were traced to the Waterfoot Company in Lancashire.
Lancastershire?
No, it's probably
No?
Lancashire.
Lancaster.
Anyway, some place that starts with an L. And investigators were able to find the owners of all but 6 pairs that had been sold from a market stall in Dudley, a town that was about 11 miles from Birmingham.
Only 6?
Yeah.
That's so few.
Well, no, they found the owners of all but 6 pairs.
Oh, all but 6. Okay, I heard only 6 pairs, and I was like, wait a minute, that's too few.
No, only 6 pairs could not be traced to their owners. Anyway, and because of how complex the investigation was and how little they had to go on, the trail started just getting colder and colder as time went, because they weren't making any real headway.
Yeah.
Before too long, the public was distracted because there's a f***ing war on. And
Oh, yeah. You can't focus on one murder when there's multiple going on every day.
And police attention was diverted from the, quote, tree murder riddle, which, I don't know, it just sounds weird.
The murder tree riddle.
Tree murder.
Tree murder riddle.
The woman remained unidentified, and the case was forgotten about. However, 6 months later, mysterious messages started popping around the area.
Oh, really? Okay.
So the first was written in chalk on the side of a house in a nearby town called Old Hill, and it read, "Who put Lubella down the Wych Elm?" This was the first time that a name had been connected to the murder victim.
Yeah.
And over the ensuing months, similar messages started to appear, all written by the same hand, and they all started to take on kind of the same form, or the same message. Basically, who put Bella in the Wych Elm?
Apparently this dude who really wants some attention and is upset he's not getting it.
Well, that's kind of what they were thinking, because they decided that this graffiti implied someone knew what was going on and was not stepping.
Yeah.
But, all appeals by the police for someone to come forward with information were unsuccessful. Nobody ever came forward. And in the late 1940s, new messages started to appear asking the same question, and they were wondering, is this a new clue, or is this the killer coming back to taunt them again?
Or is it a copycatter?
True.
Because, after some time passes.
Could be. The case became a whodunit that gripped the nation, is what my notes say.
That's beautiful.
Those are basically the facts. Now we're going to get into some theories.
All right.
And, the combination of, these messages and the fact that they really didn't have anything to go on, some of these theories are... So, one of the early theories that surfaced on the investigation was that perhaps this Bella was the victim of a black magic ritual.
I was thinking about that.
It was probably in your head, because that was one of the questions I asked.
Oh, that's right. Good job in planting ideas there.
All
right, seeding, conversation.
According to anthropologist Professor Margaret Murray, the fact that Bella's hand was severed from her arm and the bones were scattered around were very similar to an occult ceremony known as the Hand of Glory.
Oh.
Now, I don't know... It doesn't say if this is the same kind of, Hand of Glory. Do you know what a Hand of Glory is?
I mean, my brain is trying to turn it into a song, and then it's also saying, ha, glory holes. And I'm like, no, But, I do not.
Your brain went to glory holes?
Yes! Hand of Glory. Glory holes, hand jobs.
It's not just hand jobs.
No, I know not just hand jobs, but that's what Brain decided to connect.
For those listeners who don't know, and for those who are not of age, stop listening. But that's the warning to keep us safe. A glory hole is typically a hole cut in a wall, about the height of where a man's penis would be if he were to stand in front of the wall. And he inserts his penis in the hole, and someone on the other side performs sexual favors for him, and you never know who's on the other side of the wall.
Yep. Oh, that anonymity.
Which is why it's weird that Cass's brain went to glory holes.
Why is it weird? It's information that exists in my brain.
I understand that.
It's connected sometimes.
But it's weird that you being Ace would go to a completely sexual place.
I mean, it's in my brain.
Anyway, typically a hand of glory was in like magics and stuff. A hand of glory is a hand in which you can put a candle and light it, and it will only provide light for the person who is holding the hand.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't think it works like that, but interesting.
So I don't know if that's what this is referring to or if it's something else. But Ms. Murray also concluded that the murder was somehow connected to another case that potentially involved witchcraft, the murder of Charles Walton, who was stabbed and pinned to the ground with his own pitchfork in the nearby village of Lower Quinton. And then, like, developing the theory that witchcraft was involved, it was noted that the plant, belladonna, also known as deadly nightshade, both are widely associated with the occult, and according to local legend, so are the Hagley Woods, which is why people were starting to think maybe black magic.
Yeah, understandable. Getting, like, riled up for another Salem.
The fact that Bella was entombed inside the tree rather than being buried was apparently also indicative of ritualistic slaying. And the theory that Bella was executed for some crime against a coven quickly started to gain steam and is apparently still a favorite theory today.
I can understand that. It's a very exciting theory.
Investigators, however, trying to cover up some wicked occult shit, said that the hands of her bones, Jesus Christ, the bones from Bella's hand were simply just scattered about by animals. So,
all right, that's fair and valid. Like, that's a legitimate thing that can happen after a couple of years. You get scavengers crawling into the tree and pulling out the bones and being all like, hey, tasty marrow.
Right. Another theory was that maybe she was a spy, because apparently during World War II there were lots of German spies captured in the UK. And as a result, in 1953, this case of Bella and the Wych Elm attracted a new line of, thinking, war espionage.
Ooh.
The Wolverhampton Express, that's a hell of a f***ing word, Wolverhampton.
Yeah. Wow.
And, there's more. The Wolverhampton Express and Star, apparently, is what this paper is called.
Oh, goodness.
But they received a letter from somebody who identified herself only as Anna of Clammerley. She claimed to have information on the identity of Bella and was interviewed by journalist Wilfred Byford Jones. And according to Anna, Bella was a member of a spy ring seeking information about the location of local munitions factories that could then be targeted by the Luftwaffe.
Yeah, that makes sense considering the time frame that's happening.
Yeah, I mean, this is a lot more logical than black magic. So Anna was later identified as Una Mossop, and she alleged that her RAF pilot husband, that's the Royal Air Force, that her husband, who was a pilot in the Royal Air Force, Jack Mossop, had witnessed Bella's death, and she said that her husband told her that he had become involved in a spy ring along with a, quote, Dutchman called Van Ralt.
That's amazing.
This is like...
Tell me he's a pilot so that he's the Flying Dutchman.
I don't know. But apparently one evening Van Ralt, accompanied by a woman Mossop believed to be Bella, had picked up Mossop in his car, and shortly after, Van Ralt strangled the woman, allegedly because of her spy associations.
Okay.
However, this one's not over yet.
Oh, but wait, there's more.
In another version of this story, Jack Mossop and Van Ralt had been drinking with Bella in a local pub, and she became drunk and passed out. So the two men put her in the tree to teach her a lesson. And when she woke up, she was unable to climb out and died.
Oh no.
However,
that's so sad.
You're probably wondering, what about the cloth in her mouth? Well, this story doesn't explain that.
Yeah, so obviously it's fake.
Because, like...
it's funny, but...
Because it's, like, it could be argued that they did that so that, she couldn't cry out, but, in this version, they weren't trying to kill her. They were just trying to, I don't know, be mean to her?
Yeah. What do you do with a drunken Bella? What do you do with a drunken Bella? What do you do with a drunken Bella? Early in the morning. Apparently stick her in a tree.
Witch elm is what you do. According to this story. It's not clear which of these versions of the story were reported, but it is known that Jack Mossop died in St. George's Hospital in Stafford before Bella's body was discovered.
Okay.
And apparently, recurring nightmares of Bella's skull stuffed inside the tree led him to have a mental breakdown. The Van Ralt character guy.
Chiropractor?
Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from, Van Ralt?
Yeah. I mean, literally. He came out of left field.
Yeah, Van Ralt was never found, and investigators considered Mossop's testimony to be nothing more than hearsay from an estranged wife told 12 years after the discovery of Bella. Because remember, this was in 1953 that she came forward with this information. Well, quote, information.
Quote, unquote.
So in later years, declassified MI5 files gave some weight to the spy theory. The files revealed information concerning a German spy named Joseph Jacobs. He was captured after breaking his ankle while parachuting into Cambridgeshire in 1941. After Jacobs' arrest, there was a creased photograph of the glamorous German actress and cabaret singer Clara, not even going to pretend I know how to pronounce that word, Bauerli. Clara. We'll just call her Clara.
Clara's good.
Renowned actress and cabaret singer Clara.
Clara B.
was found in his pocket, and he told interrogators that Clara was his lover and that the Third Reich had recruited her as a spy. Now, according to Jacobs, Clara had parachuted into the West Midlands in 1941 and disappeared.
Okay.
Joseph Jacobs was executed by firing squad in August of 1941, but it's certain that Clara could not have been Bella because Clara was almost 6 feet tall. Whereas, remember, Bella was only 5 feet tall.
Okay, fair.
What was your what?
I don't know. I was just... When I imagine a cabaret singer, I don't imagine them quite so tall. And now I'm just thinking of the Rockettes.
Yeah, she was 5'10".
Okay.
Which, it's funny. I was talking to somebody about this the other day. So I come from very tall stock. Like, my great-grandfather was almost 7 feet tall. My grandfather was like 6'4", 6'3". My dad was 6'6". My brother's 6'4", 6'3". I'm 6 foot even.
Aww.
And so, when people are like, yeah, that girl's really tall. She's 5'9". I'm like, that's not f***ing tall. And then I have to go, wait a minute. No, that is really tall for a woman.
Yeah, it's just your family that's really tall.
I'm just used to f***ing giants.
You guys are like basketball players. Dang.
Yeah, it's just so funny to me. Because, I'm even tall for a man. Technically, because 5'10", 5'11" is average height for men.
Yeah, so you're slightly above average height.
But it's just funny to me that standing at over the average height for men, I am the runt of my family.
That's so funny, and I'm so sorry. It's never fun being the shortest.
The really funny thing is that my dad's 6'6", or was 6'6". My mom is 5'2".
Oh, baby. Oh, little. Yeah. Small but dangerous.
Okay. So,
where did we leave off?
Also, aside from being too tall to be Bella, in 2016 it was discovered that Clara had died in a Berlin hospital in December of 1942. So along all of this stuff, there was some speculation that Bella may have been someone with a transient lifestyle, like a gypsy, or I know they don't like being called gypsies.
Roma.
Yeah. Somebody who, couldn't really be traced and wouldn't necessarily be missed in, like, society. If that
Yeah.
makes sense. Not wouldn't be missed, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's a person who doesn't have any connections to the community,
Right.
and therefore the community is less likely to know /
Her
care.
disappearance would not go noticed because she had no connections to civilization and society.
Yeah.
In August of 2014, BBC Radio 4 broadcast a program that suggested that Bella was actually a prostitute who worked the streets. Why can't I say words today? Who worked, because I said streaks, not streets.
Oh my gosh. It's beautiful. English is canceled. English is canceled with the weather. Where there is no English, there is only sound.
There is no English, only sound.
This right here, this isn't English. You're listening to like Sim speak.
Can you make mouth sounds? Here's an English degree from ASU.
Here you go. Oh, beautiful, wonderful, happy days.
By the way, try Yogi brand Breathe Deep Tea.
We're back on the shelling.
Oh, I hadn't chilled toes.
Yeah, that's true. I don't have any Yogi brand tea here with me. It makes me sad. I want my throat comfort. Or maybe
For that
a
wicked,
soothing caramel.
wicked bruise on the back of your throat that you can't talk about with polite company.
That was the joke from last episode. Oh, probably earned at the glory hole.
So anyway, it was posited that she might be a prostitute who worked the streets around Hagley Road. According to police files, Bella had disappeared in 1941, which would fit the timeline of events.
Yeah.
Locals pointed out the fact that gypsies had camped out in the vicinity of Hagley Woods during 1941. So, like I said, perhaps Bella was one of them and had been killed by a member of her own community, or, maybe someone who... Because even today, a lot of people do not trust the Roma, the quote gypsies. But in those days, like, there were theories that, like, they would steal your children and, like, shit like that.
Yeah, like, for some reason, every Roma is suddenly Baba Yaga.
Right.
And I don't know why.
So, maybe she was killed by a, quote, more upstanding member of the community for being Roma.
Quote unquote. Yeah.
There was another suggestion that she might be a local barmaid who'd been killed by an American GI. There's nothing to support that. It's just something that was floated.
Yeah, like, American GIs get accused of, like, murdering women all the time near bases.
Which, to be fair, it does happen a lot.
Yeah.
Basically, there was no concrete evidence to support any of this, so these theories all ultimately led nowhere. But there was one straightforward and maybe the most probable, and that's that Bella was a homeless woman with no loved ones to report her missing, and she may have just been someone who fell through the cracks.
Yeah.
So, but
A sad day.
like, as decades passed, mystery continued to grow, and nothing ever came of it. We don't know how this woman got into the tree until today, because we are going to solve it.
Yep. This is the day where this mystery gets cracked open like a cold case, which it is.
Lay your theory on me. This magical, mystical, whatever you thought of before you even had most of the information.
Okay, so to be honest, I had one theory going in, and then as soon as you mentioned witch tree, I had two theories, and then they were both covered by what people were actually talking about at the time. Because I was genuinely thinking immediately, like, oh, what if she was, like, somehow on a German bombing ship and then was just dropped from a plane from the sky into a tree randomly? But then it made more sense to transform that into she could have been a spy theory. And then we covered most of that. And then there was also the, witch tree. Oh, then maybe perhaps this is a witch thing and ritualistic, and the bones were scattered. Ooh. And then we covered that. But now, since we talked about, like, the potentiality of there having been this one other guy who was killed by a pitchfork, and the potentiality of her being a vulnerable person, whether homeless or Roma or prostitute or a combination of the three. I think it was a serial killer.
Yeah?
I think that this was a serial killer who maybe started, was a farmer that started by accidentally getting into a tiff with this one guy and plunging his pitchfork in this other guy's chest in a fit of rage, and he's like, oh shit, well, I guess we need to find a way to disguise this. Ritual magic? Blame it on the witches. Maybe if this woman was Roma, he'd be like, let's make this witch-themed. So, because I hate Roma for some reason. And also, that would help to disguise the fact of whatever it was he was doing. So, it's all red herrings trying to lead you off the trail that really this guy is just... Yeah, either he went on a spree, or he traveled a little bit and did some serial killings.
Okay.
And they just weren't discovered because they were in such remote locations after that. Or so weirdly disguised that no one really picked up on them.
Okay. I will add to your serial theory killer... God, Lord.
I would love some cereal, thank you very much.
This is like, what was it last week I said? Where I was like, yeah, people just want to believe in prostitutes. Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah. Prostitutes are real, guys. They're really out there. You can find them if you look hard enough.
My cousin said he was walking through the woods one time, and this bright light showed up out of nowhere, and the next thing he knew, he was paying a woman for sex.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Nobody believes him, though.
He didn't even remember what happened. He just knew what he was paying for.
Yeah, like he doesn't remember the sex. He just knows that he was paying her for sex.
He's just like, he assumes it was a good time. There was a hammer involved.
Why was there a hammer involved? Kind of weird ass. Look, I know that you're ace and you don't get up to the same stuff that us aloe people get up to, but what do you think is involved in sex, Cass?
Okay, so that was actually a reference to Dragon Age for once, where in Dragon Age they have a brothel that you can go pay for sex in. And so you pay for sex, and then you have a scene that blacks out and you're with your preferred partner or whatever, and then you wake up and there's some random items in the room with you when the scene clears in. And one of the items that shows up in the room is a hammer.
So I'm going to add on to your serial killer theory. Remember that this woman was found on Lord Cobham's land.
Lord
Cobham.
Lord Cabbage Patch.
Cobham. He's starting to sound almost like Gollum. Like, Gollum. Except he's
Cobham. A little
the
bit,
Hagley
yeah.
Woods are his precious. I don't know. I think he was the serial killer. It was found on his land. I mean...
It was on his land. He controls all that happens within it.
Like, other than that, like, it's a sound theory. It was a serial killer, but I think it was Lord Cobham.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and he's powerful enough, being a lord, that he could potentially bribe people, being wealthy enough, and, like, get away with it. He's just, like, flexing.
Yep. I think that's what happened. It wasn't that the police couldn't find any leads, it's that they were paid off.
Yeah, that makes sense. That explains how Scotland Yard can sometimes be really competent and sometimes just be very, very incompetent.
I think you get that with most police, though.
Yeah, generally speaking.
I mean, what was it? It was Spring Hill Jack we were talking about, I think, with Dan.
Yeah.
About incompetent police. So.
Mm-hmm. It was a goat.
It was a sheep, remember?
Just a sheep. Some sort of four-legged, hooved, not bovine. What are sheep? Sheep aren't bovine.
Marsupials.
They're not a marsupial. I mean, can you imagine a sheep with like a stomach pouch? And, like, just a tiny baby sheep going blip inside.
I'm sorry, what was that noise that it made? Is this new headcanon? Like, is this kind of like the helicopter?
I guess. Let me see if I can do it again without laughing. That's the hard part.
I can do it for you. I just... So we got broop for things that go in a stomach pouch. And I don't even remember the noise you made for the helicopter. It was...
Something like that.
Well, mystery solvers, it would appear that yet again we've done it. We have solved another mystery. Do want to, like, the solution is that Lord Cobham was a serial killer and may or may not have bribed some local police to look the other way when they found Bella in the Wych Elm.
Yep, because World War II was going on and they had more important things to take care of than a year-old murder. Or so they would say.
I do want to make a quick little announcement before I give my outro spiel. And we go ahead and get out of your hair. Even though it is quite a ways off, this is episode, I think, 35.
Yeah, thereabouts.
We've been discussing the possibility of doing a live stream episode for our 50th episode.
Which would be very exciting.
Sure.
They get to hear all the things we cut, like all the times we can't pronounce things like Worcestershire. Yeah.
That, now, again, because this is only episode 35, that would be about 3 months away. But
yeah,
we just wanted to go ahead and put it out there, see if there's any real interest in something like that. So, if you want to drop us a line, let us know what you think about that, or if you have any mysteries you want to hear us solve right here on the podcast, or you know what, if you just want to tell us that we're doing a great job, or threaten our lives, whatever, you can do that.
And whatever floats your boat.
Right.
Boats your float.
Water, usually. Anyway, you can do that with a quick email to mysteriessolvedpodcast, all one word, @gmail.com. As usual, you can find us on Facebook at Unsolved Mysteries Solved, on Twitter at UMS_podcast, on the Facebook group, the Discord server, YouTube, etc. Plenty of ways to get a hold of us. And do please remember that if you enjoyed the show, if you've been enjoying the show, please go to iTunes, leave us a glowing review, a 5-star rating, whatever. And in the meantime, in between time, we will see you right back here next week with a brand new mystery to solve. Cass, do you have anything else before we get out of here?
I do, actually. If anyone is interested in Christian romance novels, I just happen to have done an audiobook of one. Specifically, this one is about The Zookeeper's Daughter by Virginia Smith.
I saw the link that you posted. I think you posted one.
Uh-huh.
Apparently the book has great reviews from people that have read it, so...
Does it already?
I think so.
Oh, I'm excited!
I think.
Yeah.
It might have been a different book.
Get my hopes up.
Alright, yeah, go check that out if that's the kind of thing you're into. And, I guess, just remember what we always say, Cass.
Uh-huh. If you disagree with us, we will put you down.
Close enough. So... We'll get out of your hair. Thanks for listening, guys. And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye now.
See you next week. Bye.
Shut up, man. This is why I don't do these things in person.
Hello, this is Lorraine, your host from Once Upon a Nightmare. Every Tuesday, I like to delve into the horrors of the world, be it fiction or real. I've had a healthy and what some will call a strange obsession with true crime and horror movies for well over 30 years now. So if those two topics pique your interest, then please go check out Once Upon a Nightmare podcast. It is available on multiple platforms, and don't forget to rate, review and subscribe. Thank you.